Have you ever been browsing through social media and you see somebody do something mind-blowing? Something you would love to do, but you don't think you have the courage or that you ever would? Have you ever been in a room where everyone feels smarter than you? And you have something you want to say, something you believe in, but you don't speak up? Have you ever wanted to take a trip somewhere, but you were worried because maybe the language would be too hard, the culture might be weird, or perhaps you might eat something that would make you poop for 5 days straight? Have you ever had that feeling of being afraid? I know that feeling all too well. Let me take you back to 1987. It's a small hospital room in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. And there's a 15-year-old high school dropout who just became a mom for the first time. She's holding her baby girl in her hands, and she's worried. Something doesn't look right. Her baby isn't moving the right way. She doesn't look the right way. And the doctor comes in. And he says, "Your baby has a 5% chance of living. Expect the worst, even if she survives. She will most likely spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair because she has cerebral palsy." I am that girl. Being here today is a medical miracle that doctors told my parents would never happen. I know a lot about comfort zones, because when you grow up with something like cerebral palsy, everything feels scary. I was afraid of what other people thought of me because I lived in a small town and I was one of the only kids with something like cerebral palsy. And I was terrified to walk down the halls of my own school simply because everyone stared at my clunky leg braces. Today, I want to share with you the life-changing realization that I had 5 years ago. I realized that fear was affecting every action I took or didn't take in life. I didn't know if I could avoid feeling it, but I wondered, is it possible to have a healthier relationship with fear? And so I created the Year of Fear project. And since 2013, I have done over 850 comfort zone challenges. Some of those have been little, like learning how to wear skirts, even though I was afraid of everyone looking at my legs. Some of those have been large, like selling everything I own to move into an RV and travel the entire 48 states, the lower 48. And many of those comfort zone challenges have been questionable, like that time I picked up hitchhikers. I was afraid that the Year of Fear project might end a little early because I would get murdered. But all they did was serenade me with ukuleles for the entire drive. You'll discover today, when you start facing your fears on purpose, life will reward you. You will stop looking for other people to be your hero, and you will become your own hero. Today, I want to share with you the best of what I've learned, some simple ways you can face your fears, and at the end, I've got a challenge for you. But first, we gotta talk about what the heck is a comfort zone challenge? So comfort zones are as unique as people are. What makes me afraid may not make you afraid, and vice versa. For the Year of Fear project, here's how I defined a comfort zone challenge. Something new, interesting, or outside of your comfort zone. A comfort zone challenge doesn't need to be scary to be effective. It simply needs to break you out of your everyday ruts and routines. Most people only think of that last one. The problem is, to make facing fear fun, you've got to use one of those first two with it. So if you're thinking about a comfort zone challenge, make it something new, interesting, and as often as possible outside of your comfort zone. So now I want to talk about what are some simple ways you can start showing fear who the boss is. Have you ever gotten to the end of a week and you wonder why you didn't get half the things that you intended to done? Well, what I've found is you've got to win the week before you begin the week. This is the secret to how I have completed over 850 comfort zone challenges. And I've done more in 5 years than most people will do their entire life. And here's how you apply it. From this day forward, every Sunday, sit down and invest 30 minutes into planning one adventure or experience you will never forget for that week. If there's something interesting or unique that you want to try, schedule the class. If there's somebody who intimidates you, invite them to lunch. Great lives don't happen on accident, and that is why they're so rare. And if you're ready to start living a life that you won't regret, all it takes is investing 30 minutes every Sunday to get a great head start. Number 2, collect uncomfortable conversations. Facing your fears doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go naked bungee jumping over a pit of crocodiles. Although, I actually did that last year. Here's a picture. You guys are perverts. Sometimes, facing your fears can be as simple as having a long, overdue, often uncomfortable conversation with somebody in your life. Conversations like, I love you, this is over, or I need help. I've had all 3 of these conversations, and I can tell you, they've been some of the scariest fears I've faced. One of my favorite uncomfortable conversations happened 3 years ago. My boss at the time asked me, "Do you even want to work here anymore?" After she realized I hadn't put an ounce of heart or soul in my job for months. Normally, I would say, "Yes, for the love of God, please don't fire me," because I was afraid of conflict. Instead, I said, No, I don't want to work here anymore." In that moment, I took a giant comfort zone leap. I decided I would become an entrepreneur. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made. I could only say no because I had been practicing facing my fears and collecting uncomfortable conversations. Being honest is hard. Asking for what you want or what you need can be wildly uncomfortable. And standing up for yourself when you normally shrink back down into a corner can be terrifying. But don't underestimate the big changes that can happen in your life if you're just willing to have these small, uncomfortable conversations. If you are facing your fears, who is one person in your life right now that you need to have an uncomfortable conversation with? Number 3, choose courage over comfort. There's an easy question you can ask yourself at any time to find endless opportunities to face your fears. And that question is, if I were choosing courage over comfort in my life right now, what would I do? That simple question led me to do things like go first. I hate to be the center of attention. So anytime someone asked for a volunteer, whether that was in work or at an improv show with friends, I would raise my hand like a total wacko and offer to go first. I also started to say yes more often. Like that time, I decided I was going to go to a world's largest mustache competition. My inner introvert wanted to say no and stay home. But it was amazing, and I'm glad I said yes. I've also said yes to things like riding a bucking bull, even though I knew I was going to be so embarrassed when I bit it in front of my friends, and I did. And I've said yes to moving to a new city where I didn't know a single soul before I arrived. And I've said yes to things I felt physically underqualified for, like acro yoga. Here's an insider secret about acro yoga. That guy on the bottom, he's doing most of the work. Acro yoga is a lot like facing your fears. From the outside looking in, it looks scary, sometimes impossible. But when you give it a chance, I think you'll realize it's a lot easier than you think. If you were choosing courage over comfort in your life right now, what would change from this day forward? So you may be wondering, after 850 comfort zone challenges, have I conquered fear? Am I fearless? No. I'm afraid all the time. I'm afraid right now. And this is my favorite place to be. Not on stage, because that kind of makes me want to barf, but face to face with fear, because what I now know is that fear is always near when you make the most out of your life. We can't avoid feeling it, but we can develop a healthier relationship with it if we practice. So now, I gotta wonder, what's next for you? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about yourself and everything that I've shared here today. You're sitting in your chair, you're listening to me talk, you're watching me on stage. I want you to close your eyes for a few minutes and take a deep breath. Imagine yourself in 30 days, and you have not faced any of your fears. Nothing in your life has changed. How do you feel? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel happier or more sad? Do you feel fulfilled? Or do you feel like you had a chance to make a change and you let that opportunity pass you by? Okay, I want you to come back now. You can open your eyes. That future hasn't happened yet. That's good. Now, I want you to imagine a new future. Go ahead, close your eyes, take a breath. In the next 30 days, you do one of those things. You have an idea about something interesting or unique. You sign up. You have an opportunity to speak up about something that you believe in, and you do so in a respectable way. You call about that trip, you at least get pricing, you put a down payment on your credit card, and you know you are going. How do you feel? Do you feel more excited? Are you proud of yourself? Now let's take that feeling and let's go 6 months into the future. And in every week, or maybe once every month, you do one thing outside of your comfort zone. In 6 months, you've done 6 things you would have normally never done before. How do you feel about yourself? How do others look at you when you walk into a room? Do you got a little more swagger? What does it feel like to know that you are making the most of your life? Open your eyes. That is your future. That is my challenge and my gift to you. In the next 24 hours, I want you to do one thing outside of your comfort zone, so that in 30 days, that exercise is no longer a dream. It is your reality. If you want to live a wildly fulfilling, happy, successful life, you've got to make friends with the dirtiest F word of all: fear. Thank you.